Welcome back to another edition. This is the LB podcast. I'm here with my brother LFC Flavi. We are here to talk about the World Cup. We are in the World Cup season, of course. There are a lot of African countries. The first time that there are 10 African countries representing at the World Cup in the 48-team tournament. We saw that Morocco really gave Brazil a run for their money. And we are, of course, here to talk about the African teams. Now, the tournament began with an African team as well, with South Africa facing Mexico, and Mexico won that game by 2-0. There were a lot of red cards in the game as well. First of all, I wanted to ask you what you thought about that South African performance and what your overall thoughts were on the opening ceremony or the opening game. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I saw the entire game of the opening game, and I think, to my surprise, South Africa were quite underwhelming in that game. I'm not sure exactly why they were that underwhelming, but they couldn't string passes together well enough. They tended to be defending in a low block and trying to hit on a counter, but at the same time, when they win the ball back, they don't transition quick enough. They still tend to play short passes at the back. So then you really don't have the transitional threat, because by the time you pass the ball at the back and try to go forward, the opponent would have settled into their shape, and it's very difficult to break them down. So they didn't really threaten much in that game. Mexico, on the other hand, were very energetic. They were pressing very high, and that is what led to the first goal. The faulty control from the midfielder in the South African team that led to the first goal. In the end, I think the deserving team won the game, because Mexico came into the game, they were front-footed, they knew exactly what they were doing. You could see that they had a lot of chemistry between them, even though their attack wasn't the sharpest in that particular game, but they deserved to win it. In the end, South Africa might have been able to get a goal, but it wasn't to be. So I think that first game really set the tone for the tournament. Even though South Africa were a bit underwhelming, I think it was an okay game. It wasn't a very bad game, to be honest.
Yeah. After that, there were a few fixtures, but the next African team that played was Morocco against Brazil. And Ashraf Hakimi said they are called the Brazilians of Africa. I don't know how true that is, but moving on. I thought the game that South Africa played, immediately the game started, they tried to sit in a low block, all men behind the ball. I didn't see a lot of courage, but you saw that Moroccan team, how they faced Brazil. They felt like this is a team that we can match them. Even if you look at the team on paper, Brazil is ranked 7th in the world. Morocco is ranked 8th. So there's not much between the teams when you look at them. So I don't think it was quite surprising with the game that we saw. But how strong do you think this Moroccan team is? And can they go all the way again like we saw in 2020?
I'm not sure if they are going to be able to go all the way to the semifinals this time. I'm not sure. The reason I say that is because I'm not very convinced with the attack. The attacking play is not very sharp. It's not incisive enough. I think they tend to pass the ball too many times in the middle before they hit the front players in the number 9 position. I think there were a few cases in that game against Brazil where they could have moved the ball a bit quicker. They could have crossed the ball first time and they hesitated a bit. But when it comes to the performance I saw against Brazil from this Moroccan team, one thing is clear. They don't play under any pressure. They play with a lot of confidence. And when they are playing, you can see that everybody is on the same wavelength. They move as a team, they defend as a team, and they can play in many different ways. They can attack you, they can keep the ball, they can sit in a low block and defend and make it very difficult for you to get opportunities. So I think that is something that would take them very far. But when it comes to their finishing, their attack, I think that is where there's a bit of drop in quality. And I think that might go a long way to prevent them from sort of hitting
Mm,
the highest heights
yeah.
that we probably would expect them. But I think they're a very good team. They will be very difficult to beat by any of the other teams in this World Cup. So I'm expecting them to really play well going forward and
Mm,
entertain the fans going forward. So
mm,
we'll see.
yeah, yeah. One thing that I realized when I watched Morocco is their stability and continuity. They have changed manager in Walid Wabrari. A new guy coming in. He was with the youth team and coming in. It has been
The under
seamless.
20.
He won five of his games that he has played and he drew the game against Brazil. And you look at the team and the continuity in the team, it allows the players to play the way they do. And it really doesn't speak about a typical African team. African teams normally, when there's a tournament, there's another one 4 years after, you come into another tournament and there's new faces all over. But this Moroccan
Completely
team
new
has really
players.
transcended from the old guard. And yesterday, they actually set a record for being the first country to play 11 individuals who were not born in the in the
Mm,
nationality in Morocco. Some were born in Belgium, and they even have a fight with France over a player, and they win that battle. That is really something that I think people are really not talking about. The 18-year-old that played yesterday, who he bossed that Brazilian midfield. You
yeah,
look at it and you ask yourself, why would he choose Morocco over a country like France? And it's totally evident with the game that he played yesterday. And I asked myself, would such a player with the quality that he has, if he's from Ghana or some of the African countries, will he be able to do so? And my answer to that is no, because there's no clear structure, especially when it comes to, let me use my country, Ghana. There's no clear structure, there's no plan. If the 18-year-old looks in a dressing room, he sees Hakimi, he sees someone like Mazraoui who plays for Manchester United, he sees Brahim Diaz, who has won a lot of titles for Real Madrid. So they elevate that sort of pressure from him instantly, and then he's able to play freely and enjoy his football because he knows that they have the quality to match Brazil. You look at Hakimi, his teammate is Marquinhos. You look at Brahim Diaz, his teammate is Vinicius Junior. Mazraoui's teammate is Cunha. So they do not feel inferior, and that is what I think the African teams have lacked over the years. When they go into these games, they feel the inferiority complex. We saw it
yeah,
with the South African game. It looks like
yeah.
they don't belong. They are out of their depth. But moving on, which other African team do you think can give us that sort of performance that we saw from Morocco yesterday? We have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Algeria, we have Egypt, there's Ghana, there's Senegal, who technically aren't African champions anymore.
Yeah, I think before I go on to your question,
Yeah.
another thing that I wanted to touch about with the Moroccan team is that this new manager they have from the under 20
Mm,
side, he's
yeah.
really brought in possession football. He's not like Wagragi who would sit back, try to remain resolute and hit you on the break all the time. This
Mm,
guy really wants to keep the ball. He wants to show you that if you can play, we can also play.
mm,
So you have to do more to get anything out of us. And also
mm,
when it comes to getting people who were born outside of Morocco to come and play, it is all about the plan. They have a good plan.
mm,
They take their work very seriously. The FA of the Moroccan country,
yeah.
so they start early. They start speaking to these players early before they become stars. Unlike
Mm,
some of us.
yeah.
Ghana and the other African countries. We wait till they get their debut in their first team, they get a call up here or there in the national team, and then that is where we want to go in and snoop in. No, I don't think that's the best way. You start following the player from the youth system, and then you catch them young,
Yeah.
right? So I think that is something that we can learn from Morocco. When it comes to the other African teams, I think Senegal is one of the countries that I would put on the same level as Morocco to do very well in this World Cup.
Mm,
When you look at Senegal, even though they don't have big name players, as many big name players as they used to have, for example, in 2002, they came with a lot of high profile players, but this
mm,
squad, I think, has been together long enough. They've also had the experience of winning the AFCON, even though they are not the legal winners right now based on issues that we can talk about later on. But
Yeah,
they won it on the pitch. The truth is that on the pitch, they are the winners. So
yeah.
whatever thing that anybody else
And
wants
we
to
were the
say
best team
is
in the
is in the
tournament.
boardroom. Yes. So I think they can bring that experience to the World Cup
Uh,
because they have that experience of performing well in the World Cup. They've got into the quarterfinal before. I think that was in 2002. So
uh,
they need to make the next step. And I think they are in a good position to do that. And the other team that I do also rate is Cote d'Ivoire. They surprised me with their performance
yeah,
against France
yeah.
in that friendly game.
Me too.
So
I've
I'm
actually
not
picked them as
sure.
my dark horse.
Yeah, I'm not sure if based on that one game alone, it is enough for me to say that they are going to be one of the best teams. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
put them in that bracket as well,
Okay.
with Senegal and Morocco, because I do think they also have very big name players. They have players who have exposure at the highest level. You have Ahmad playing for Manchester United. They have
Yeah,
players in the French league. So they would have been familiar. They would be familiar with playing with these top players in the French league as well as in the Champions League. So Cote d'Ivoire is also one of the teams that I hope they will do very well in their group and also in the World Cup.
okay. Brilliant. So, I mean, rightly so. Those three teams, I also think, have the best chance at the tournament. I think they are the three strongest African teams at the tournament: Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and the Morocco. And but Morocco and Senegal look the strongest on paper and even on the pitch when you see them play. Senegal, remember also, I think they also beat England in a friendly as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've seen those three teams actually face off against the big teams around the world in friendlies and actually gave them a run for their
Senegal's
money.
first
So
game is against France, right?
yeah,
They are
yeah,
playing against France. Yeah. So that will be a very big game. It will be a tough game between Senegal and France. It's going to
yeah.
be a very good watch. So yeah. But what about what do you make of Ghana's chances? And also Algeria. Algeria is also in there, right? So
Yeah.
um I think they are also in a position to maybe surprise people a bit, Algeria. But my only issue with them is that they don't perform very well when they come to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, Algeria and Tunisia. They don't do well on the world stage. But yeah,
I
what do you
think
make
so.
of Ghana and those other teams?
Yeah, I think so. You make a good point. So far, it is only Morocco in 2022 and this year who have shown that kind of personnel when it comes to the should I say Arab African countries. Tunisia, Morocco, sorry, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt have
Yeah.
all really battered to the sea when it comes to the World Cup. Egypt have won as many AFCONs as they play World Cup games. That's how much the disparity is. And they very rarely do well when they do qualify for World Cup tournament. So I don't really fancy the Arab teams aside Morocco. Tunisia, not so much. Algeria, they do have some good players, but their star man Riyad Mahrez isn't there. Riyad Mahrez,
Mm,
no anymore. I know is in there, but I'm not so sure of the rest. They might have a chance of qualifying for the group because this is the most forgiving tournament or the most forgiving World Cup tournament in history that you can finish third place. You might even not win a game. You can draw three games and get 3 points and still have a great chance of qualifying. So I do think they might qualify, but I don't see them getting past the round of 32 stage. One thing that I'm also looking at is DR Congo. I look at the way that they qualified to the tournament. I think that the experience that DR Congo have gained from the way that they qualified and the teams that they played, they had to really face adversity. And their major strength is also in defense with Isaka, Twazembe, I've forgotten the name of the captain. He's their veteran captain who has played. He has the most caps in DR
oh,
Congo.
um,
Mbemba, yes,
Mbemba,
Mbemba.
yeah, Chancellor.
Mbemba, their captain. Yeah, they also have Sadiki in midfield, so they do have a good core.
Yeah,
Joan
yeah,
Wissa,
they have
who
a good
missed the
team.
AFCON through injury. Yeah, Joan Wissa will
I
also
think a
be
lot of
back
us are
for them.
sleeping on DR Congo. They
Yeah,
have a decent team, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do have a decent team. And like I said before, the inferiority complex is one thing that, even aside quality, has really hampered African teams when they play at the World Cup. And I think if DR Congo, the kind of players that they have who have experience of playing at the top level, they're able to bring the squad together, and the experiences that they had in terms of the qualifiers that they played and how they got here, they would know that they could potentially punch above their weight and cause a surprise for many of the teams that are the World Cup. So they might be maybe the fourth team aside Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Morocco that, and Cote d'Ivoire that I would put my hat on to probably pull up a surprise when it comes to the African teams.
Fair.
Yeah. So yeah, these are. There's also Egypt. I think we touched on all the African countries. There's
No, Cape
Morocco,
Verde.
Senegal,
It's left with
Algeria.
Cape Verde.
Yeah, Cape Verde. Cape Verde is
Yeah.
also in there. Cape Verde is more. I think Cape Verde is more. If they win a game at the World Cup, they've achieved absolute. It will be the biggest win in probably their history.
Yeah.
Because they even qualifying for the World Cup, first of all, is a huge achievement.
It's a huge achievement already. So
yeah. I don't really see them doing much in the tournament, but yeah, those are the African teams that I see who could potentially perform well. So yeah, these are the discussions that we had about the African teams who are the World Cup. Which African team do you think will go the farthest in the tournament, and which one do you think might also pull up a surprise in the group stages? Who do you think will be the best player, the best African player we'll see in the competition? I went for someone like Ibrahim Diaz. I spoke about him as being my player to watch. So he gave an assist against Brazil as well. But let's see how that goes. Guys, keep on subscribing to the channel as always. This has been the LB podcast. My name is Statsman Sana. You can also watch me on Per KSS channel on YouTube. I did this with my brother LFC Travi. We'll catch you in the next one.